Welcome everybody to the Woodstock Committee of Adjustment for our April meeting. Let me see if there's any declaration of conflict of interest from any of the committee members. I'm not seeing anyone on screen yet.
No, it's the mic live.
Seeing no declaration of conflict of interest, and I have a mover and a seconder for the minutes of March 15th meeting. Moved by Peter, seconded by Glenn. All in favor? Unanimous, carried. Business arising from the minutes and correspondence, we have the appeal tribunal for the 464 Devonshire Ave decision. I'm sure all the committee members have read it. Are there any comments or questions from the committee on that decision? Seeing none, can I have a motion to receive as filed? Moved by Bob, seconded by Jennifer. No further questions. All in favor? Unanimous, carried. We will now proceed to the application for minor variance. We have two tonight. The procedure is as per normal. The county planner will give her report on the application. It will then come back to me to ask the applicant to speak if he so wishes. Then I will ask anyone in the virtual land out there to speak for or against the application. After that, it comes back to the committee for their motion to approve or deny. So the first application tonight, 330 Parrot Place, Mark Drager. I understand, Greg Horwood, you're going to be representing them. Is that correct, Greg?
Yes, I will, Len.
Thank you, Greg. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So the first application tonight is for minor variance, and the applicant is proposing to reduce the required rear yard depth from 7.5 meters to 6.2 meters to allow for the construction of a sunroom addition. I'll just share my screen here, and there we can see the location of the subject property. It's at 330 Parrot Place. And basically what the applicant is proposing to do is they're proposing to construct a sunroom addition to the rear of the existing dwelling. Here's a drawing for the committee's consideration. And so the current, so the proposal is that the sunroom addition will be approximately 120 square feet. And in light also of the of staff review, staff have discovered that in addition to the reduction in the rear yard depth, the applicant is also requiring to increase the maximum lot coverage from 36.5% to 39.5%. And that would facilitate the sunroom. Staff are satisfied that no further circulation is required as the proposal is, the additional relief is minor, and the proposal hasn't changed. The applicant is still presenting, or it's the same as what the applicant presented in the application. They're still looking to add the 120 square foot sunroom. And so because of that, we didn't feel that further circulation or further public notification was required. Staff reviewed the application. The city building department is supportive of the application, and they pointed out that the additional relief was required. And then just for the committee's information, as I indicated, it's 36.5% to moving to 39.5%, and that's still below the maximum lot coverage for all buildings, main building and accessory structures, which is the minimum requirement is 40%. So the applicant would still be staying below that. And so the the reduction in the rear yard depth from the 7.5 meters to the 6.2 meters, and then also the increase in the lot coverage. Feel that the application or the requests are minor in nature and they're desirable still for the site. We still feel that the site can provide adequate drainage and access around the building. They can also, the access would allow for the normal property maintenance of the main building as well as the sunroom. And in general, we feel that it's a type of a form of development that's in keeping with the neighborhood and it's therefore desirable for the property. So in light of that, we recommend that the application be given favorable consideration, and we have included the additional relief that that would be required to facilitate the sunroom.
Thank you, Andrea. Greg, you have a positive planning report. You need not speak unless you wish.
No, I'm fine.
Thank you, Greg. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, it comes back to the committee for a resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the points 1 and 2 in the recommendation? Moved by Howard, seconded by Jennifer. Questions, comments? All in favor? Unanimous, carried. Second application is 33 Heron Avenue. I understand Tim Doan is representing the applicant. Tim, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll just share my screen here again. This application for minor variance is located at 33 Heron Avenue, and the applicant has applied to increase the total maximum lot coverage for a lot having 15 meters of frontage or greater from 40% to 42.5%. And this would allow for the construction of a covered deck in the rear yard. So just for the committee's information, there currently is staff went out and did a site inspection of the site. There currently is an existing deck on the subject property, and the applicant would be looking to enclose a portion of it. The existing wood deck is basically covers the majority of the rear yard. In addition, there are 2 steel gazebos on the property as well as an existing garden shed. The existing structures that are on the site have are all there legally. They all have building permits. And so staff do not have concerns with that. That being said, the increase in the lot coverage from 40% to 42.5%. In addition to that, the applicant generally, as the committee is well aware, the accessory structures are only allowed to have a maximum lot coverage of 10%. And in this case, additional relief is required, which staff discovered upon review. And it would be to increase the lot coverage to 11.8% for the accessory structures. Staff do have concerns with this increase. In general, staff feel that there's too much development in the rear yard. I just have a sketch here. You can see the different structures that are in the rear yard. And then also bear in mind that there is a large existing deck that covers the majority of the backyard. And so, like I said, staff have concerns with that. We feel that when the majority of a rear yard is covered, it can affect drainage patterns. It can affect the ability for drainage or for rainwater to percolate into the ground, because if the majority of the backyard's in underneath an impermeable surface, that can happen. And then because of that, the rainwater can be directed to neighboring properties, which is a concern to us. Through the circuit or through the public notification process, we did receive a letter from a neighboring property owner, and they have concerns regarding flooding. They feel that their property floods during heavy rainfalls, and they feel that it's affecting their shed footings as a result. So in light of of these reasons, staff are recommending to the committee that this application not be approved.
Thank you, Andrea. Tim, it comes back to you for comments, whatever brief they may be. You might want to request a deferral. You might want to argue for this. It's entirely up to you. Go ahead.
So Craig Wallace came for the site visit last week, and he brought to my attention that if we potentially eliminated one of the structures, be it one of the gazebos or the shed or the lean-to that's attached to the shed, we could potentially proceed without being over the lot coverage allowance. And in talking with my clients, they have agreed that would be a feasible option for them, and that eliminating the lean-to portion of the garden shed is well within their acceptable means to proceed with the project. They're more interested in having a covered deck off of their house in there and having a silly little lean-to beside the garden shed.
Thank you, Tim. Andrea, do you suggest we defer this and have the applicant come back? What's your, and maybe Craig can hone in here too.
Based on the comments actually received from Craig, I didn't point this out, but he did indicate in his comments that, and I mean, he can elaborate if he chooses, but he did indicate that if, so if one existing gazebo or one existing shed, so the gazebo would have been 10.87 square meters, or an existing shed would be 17.84 square meters. If one of those were removed, then as Mr. Dome pointed out, then they would fall underneath that 10% lot coverage, and then they also would not exceed the 40% lot coverage. And so if that's the case, then they wouldn't need a variance at all. And so if Craig would like to speak to that further, if that's the case, then I don't think that a deferral would be appropriate. Either the applicant could, and this maybe goes back to Alicia, but either the applicant could withdraw the application, or the committee could deny it based on what was actually applied for.
It would make more sense for me to be positive throughout this routine to cancel the application and let him proceed back to Craig. But Craig, is Craig online? Craig, what's your input?
Chairperson, yes, Andrea summed it up. If you turn the application down, if you approve the planning report, the minor variance doesn't move forward. It's not approved. So if he removes half the shed or gazebo structure, he doesn't need a minor variance to proceed anyways. He's free to build his proposed covered deck. If you defer the application, just gives the applicant another month to come back. If he did want some relief, it leaves the door open. So I think I'll leave that up to you, Mr. Chairman, what the best route would be.
Thank you, Craig. Back to you, Tim. What's your pleasure here? Would you like us to proceed, turn down the application as the planner has suggested, and then you start fresh with Craig, or you may not, as the planner points out, you may not need a variance period?
So if I defer, what's the procedure? I'm not too familiar with.
If we defer, Tim, you may still need a minor variance. That leaves the door open for you to come back under the same application.
Okay, but again, with a negative or an unfavorable report already, the chances of it being favorable are slim to none, right? So, yeah, I guess I'll just withdraw the report, or withdraw the
The application.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr.
Alicia?
Chair, if I may interject, as this issue is before the committee, a decision does have to be made. If the committee does not, if it wants to deny, in essence, in agreement with the planning report, then all that would do is then Mr. Doan would be free to start again to work with Craig Wallace to discuss what he would like to do that perhaps would not require a minor variance. But at this particular point, as it is in front of the committee, it can't be withdrawn. A decision has to be made. If the committee wants to not make a decision, the only option would be to defer.
Thank you, Alicia. Let me go ahead and see if there's anyone online wishing to speak for the application. Hearing no one, is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee. You've heard the options. I would think if you accept the planner's report being no, that ends the matter and it goes back into the applicant's court. What's your pleasure? Can I have a motion and a seconder, please? Moved by Howard to accept the planner's report.
Yes.
Seconder. Seconded by Peter to accept the planner's report, which is a no. Correct? All in favor? All in favor, Glenn? Okay. So Glenn is a nay. The application is refused, and it goes back to Tim to either go back to Craig, or you may not even need a variance at all. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
The only thing remaining is motion to adjourn. Moved by Jennifer, seconded by Peter. All in favor? Unanimous. Carried. Thank you.